Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/AITA. In today's episode, AITA 26F, for reporting my neighbor 38F plus 39M, son, 11M, to the police for trespassing. AITA for telling my assailant that the grudge she's holding against me over wedding photos is stupid. AITA for refusing to give my son's free room to my cousin who is living with us. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. AITA 26F, for reporting my neighbor 38F plus 39M, son, 11M, to the police for trespassing. I, 26F, live in England. I own my home and understand I am fortunate, but I also worked hard for it. Any money I received or earned while working part-time till graduation went into my savings account. Most people on my street are social housing tenants. I'm still determining what that is, but they've explained that you're eligible for the scheme if you're on a low income. It's more secure than the private sector as you mostly get assured tenancies even though there are different tenancy types. For a while, I got on well with my next-door neighbors Emily and Ben. They also have 3 kids, 13M, 9F, 4F, but soon I started experiencing a lot of problems from next door. I work from home often, and I could hear shouting next door constantly. Ben is 5'11", 145 kilograms and quite loud and intimidating, and I could hear their kids screaming and crying. I had to ask them to lower their voices daily, and I even explained that I work from home. The next set of problems revolved around the 13-year-old son. I spotted their son climbing over a wall to get into my garden to get his football back, which at first I ignored it. Then after it happened 10 times, I finally decided to speak with his parents, and I can't remember what I said entirely. Still, it was something like, "Hey, I just wanted to have a word as I have seen your son trespass 11 times to get his ball from my garden. I would appreciate it if you could get him to stop as he is trespassing, and if he just came round to the front and knocked on my front door and asked for his ball back, I would happily collect it for him." The neighbors apologized and said they would make sure their son doesn't do it and knock. A few days later, their son did it again while I was in my lounge. I walked into my garden, which made him jump, and spoke with him. I told him I'd seen him trespass to collect his ball on various occasions. I told him I had talked with his parents and that trespassing is a crime, and I would appreciate it if he could just come to the front and knock in the future. He didn't say anything and just went back into his garden. I informed his parents, and they apologized, but it continued. I got fed up with it and decided to invest in CCTV finally. I wrote a letter to residents on my road to give them a week's notice that CCTV is being installed at my address, and it will cover my entire garden and it will also cover my doorway. I also wrote that I'm getting a Ring doorbell camera. After installing CCTV, I thought it would stop the kids from trespassing. It continued. I saved the footage, filed a police report against the son for trespassing, and sent all my evidence to the police. I knew there was a strong chance that nothing was going to happen, but I just wanted the son to have some responsibility. When my neighbors found out, they were mad AF with me, and since then our relationship soured. My siblings found out about this and think I am a total aholy for this. AITA? NTA. Once or twice is a mistake. 11 times is careless. You would also potentially be liable if he fell or injured himself going over the wall. This is the UK, not US. You can't sue your neighbor for injuring yourself as you climb over their wall to commit trespass. It's a kid playing soccer. The yards are very small in this type of housing. The poor kid is probably staying outside to get away from what sounds like a bad family situation. FFS. Why is it relevant that you own your house and other houses are social housing? To set the scene that they think they are better than other people and we should be aghast that lesser beings kicked a ball onto their property. I wonder what kind of bubble OP lived in that she wasn't sure what social housing is. YTA, how, exactly, is this kid retrieving his ball from your yard hurting you? Also, you made a big deal out of telling them not to bother you because you work from home, but then you're telling them, but have your kid knock on my door to get his ball back. Your relationship with your neighbors soured because you're being needlessly petty and hard to live around, and you called the police on them because a child was retrieving a toy. Congrats! Seriously. If he did start knocking and asking for his ball back, this would be an AITA for yelling at my neighbor's kid post. Low-income housing isn't a scheme, it keeps lower-income people, usually families, from being homeless. Legally you aren't an AH, but as a neighbor you for sure are. This kid sounds like he has a rough home life and is just getting his ball out of your garden. He probably doesn't want to talk to any adult in his life at all, much less a guy who keeps complaining about him to his parents. If he's not wrecking anything in your garden, YTA for making his life harder. Why do you put negative connotation to the word scheme? Scheme is a system. Social housing is a scheme. Or there might be some discrepancy between us/UK understanding of the word. ESH. The parents of that kid should try to make sure the kid doesn't come into your garden, but you literally filed a police report against a 13-year-old for getting his back? Also, I understand that you work from home, but obviously kids are going to be loud and you're not going to get complete silence living next to kids. AITA for telling my assailant that the grudge she's holding against me over wedding photos is stupid? I, F20, have an older brother, M34, Tim. Tim has a wife, Vicky, F33. For a while now, I've noticed Vicky has been acting weird around me. She avoids interacting with me, avoids eye contact, and doesn't make conversation, and generally seems annoyed with my presence. I wasn't really sure what her problem was. It was starting to get to me, so I gently as possible asked Tim about it. He confirmed Vicky was angry at me over something. He explained that a while ago, my mother posted some old photos from his and Vicky's wedding on Facebook. I don't have Facebook, so I didn't know, and that she used a filter or photo editor that made my dress look white, when it was actually pastel blue. Later, Tim, Vicky and me were alone and Tim brought this issue up and said it needs to be talked about. Vicky started to become visibly upset and she pretty much repeated what Tim told me, and said that the edited photos were disrespectful, and that really I shouldn't have worn a color that was so close to white anyway. I reminded Vicky that I was 9 years old when they got married, and don't even really remember much from it. She said I must have had some choice in what to wear. I told her I don't know because I don't remember, and that if it bothers her so much she should take it up with my mom, and I told her that this grudge she's holding against me is stupid. Vicky looked mortified and said that I didn't have to be so calloused, and that I had no reason to be rude to her and dismiss her concerns. Tim is now also mad because I disrespected his wife. I just didn't understand what other response she could be expecting, especially when I have a complicated relationship with my parents. Was I wrong? NTA. She's mad at you for wearing a blue dress to a wedding as a 9-year-old? As if you realistically had a lot of say over your clothes at that age? And because your mother reposted the picture with a filter years later? This is the same level of BS as when people get mad about things that happened in their dreams. You've done nothing wrong and everyone knows it. She's embarrassed at her own ridiculousness and lashing out at you for embarrassing her instead of realizing she embarrassed herself. Tell your brother that until she apologizes for her ludicrous behavior, they can both keep their unstable asses away from you. Someone might have thought the 9-year-old wearing blue was the bride. Genuinely though, didn't she have better things to do that day than lose her shit getting jealous of a literal child? NTA. I don't know WTF the problem is here. This is bonkers. Plus OP didn't even post the pictures. All kinds of WTF here. My toddler wore a white dress with lots of flowers to someone's wedding. Gotta get her speech ready for the arguments in 20 years. So you wore a blue dress, someone else doctored the photo and made the dress look whiter than actuality, And now you're Cruella de Vil in a white dress at a wedding. NTA and her grudge is stupid. Honestly, 9 or 11 years ago wouldn't have changed much. An 11 years old isn't much more to blame for her dress than a 9 years old. NTA. Your SIL is an idiot, at best, to be mad at a child over a dress color from 11 years ago. Your brother is an idiot for playing along/feeding into her issue. Y'all. I cannot wait until this makes it to TikTok and then they get upset about how the comments are not on their side. Opie, sweetie, you are so far removed from being the AH. NTA. Best wishes for your future. My best advice: arguing with idiots is a waste of time. Don't even engage with it. Pick up a hobby instead. NTA, Vicky is nuts. You were 9? I was dressed by my parents for big events like that when I was that age. My jaw dropped when I got to the part where the OP was only 9. Sometimes lighter pastels do photograph light, so I personally would avoid those colors as a wedding guest, but I'm an adult who's aware of the lighting issue. 9-year-old me would have happily worn a pastel outfit. AITA for refusing to give my son's free room to my cousin who was living with us? Me, M36, and my partner, M38, have 2 kids, Luke, M18, and Jay, M15. Some background info: we took the boys under our care when they were 8 and 11. Before they came with us, they had been in different families/group homes for over a year. It was hard for Luke to understand that they were with us for good and that he had his own bedroom and family. Me and my partner know that he still sometimes has insecurities about it, and a recent one was about him leaving for college. We explained to Luke that even if he was 18 and leaving the house, he would still have a room and place at home, be it now or in October 25th years. That he would still be our kid at 40 and we will always be here for him. Now the issue. My cousin, F42, recently broke up and needed a somewhere to live for her and her 2 boys, M16/M12. Me and my partner have a house big enough and we agreed to host them free of charge for 6 months until she gets her bearings back. For the house, me and my partner have a kind of master bedroom with our bedroom, bathroom, and office. Our boys have their own room and they share a bathroom, and my cousin's boys have the guest room with a bathroom. My cousin has a room on the ground floor. It's not big, but she has the space for a bed, a desk, and a wardrobe. Last week we got the keys for Luke's flat and we started the process of furnishing it. He will officially move in next week and will start uni the week after. This weekend my cousin asked when Luke's room will be empty. I told her that it will not be, that he will only take his clothes, books, decorative items. Basically his room will stay the same and he will take only what he wanted. She then asked how she will be able to move in the room with all his stuff still here. I told her she won't, that it will still be his bedroom. He will still come home on some weekends, holidays. She then complained about the fact that she was living in a storage room, that she was the only one without her own bathroom, and that it was unfair of us to have an empty bedroom in our house and not give it to her. Me and my partner were very firm in our decision, but my mom and aunt called and told me that it was a bit unfair of us to not offer proper accommodation for my cousin and that Luke could do without a room for a few months now that he has his flat for the school year. I disagree. For me it's more than a bedroom, it's what it represents. It's his own place for him in our home and it's something I want him to have for as long as possible. I've been called selfish and that I was coddling him too much over this, so I would like an outsider perspective. NTA. You're a better man than I. Soon as she started involving other family members, I would have told her to pack her shit up and get out of my house. The boys would still be welcome to stay if she chooses. They didn't do anything wrong. But mom's gotta go. You have been more than accommodating. I'm trying to tell you. Her sons have a room and she has one too, but she's pissy she doesn't have her own bathroom and the room is small. Maybe go see how you like the shelter. The boys can stay, mom can GTFO. I do not play about my kids and Opie's son's room is his safe place and shall remain so, as it should, as they agreed. The cousin and other fam can STFU. NTA. Your cousin is being ungrateful and entitled. She is getting a place for her and her kids rent-free for 6 months, let's face it, probably more. It's much more important for your son to keep his room than for her to have a big room. She can have the big room when she's paying for it. Shut down this conversation once and for all. You didn't promise this room to her and make sure she knows that. I guess the mom and auntie both volunteered to host the cousin and her kids, since they aren't happy with Opie deciding who gets what room in their house. Make sure that room has a lock. I can see cousin mincing in any way. NTA, give a mouse a cookie and they will ask for an in-suite bathroom. Your cousin should move in with your aunt if your accommodation options are not up to her standards. She should be more grateful for the roof over her head. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.